Hi, I'm Roberto Martinez and you're watching Toffee TV.
Welcome to this edition of Toffee TV with me, Ped, Barry Cass. We've moved out of the surroundings of the fantastic Winslow Hotel because we just wanted to produce a very quick catch-up video, really, isn't it? Because there hasn't been a lot going on for Everton in the last few weeks. Obviously, the World Cup was being taken centre stage, but a few little things have happened, and we thought, let's make a video. Let's put it out there, keep everyone up to speed, and plenty of people on Twitter have been asking for videos, so thanks very much. We've been getting all your questions, some of them we'll be looking at on this show, some of them we'll be looking at other shows. There's plenty more to come from me and Barry over the next few weeks. We'll be back in the Winslow pretty soon with guests, all the rest of it, but let's get a catch up. First of all, I think the most important thing to talk about tonight is Roberto Martinez signed a new 5-year contract at the club. Quite surprising news when it came out a couple of weeks ago, but fantastic news, really. A really good way of setting the tone for the rest of the summer, the rest of the pre-season.
Yeah, definitely. I think it was important, wasn't it, to get him tied down. I suppose we know that he signed a 3-year deal last year with the club when he moved from Wigan, and I don't think it was the greatest contract in the world, to be honest with you, when he signed it. But I think the club have done really well in terms of they've given him that smaller contract at the start, almost prove yourself. And he's done that, I would say. In that first season, he's got obviously the record points total and things like that. Most wins and everything else that goes with it. We're all buying into his tiki-taka and everything else that goes with it. So
even though tiki-taka's dead.
Well, if you believe the demise of Spain and the demise of Barcelona, then yeah. But it's certainly, according to John Stones, it certainly isn't. And I believe that Roberto is an important figure. You get your manager tied down, and everyone else can kind of commit with him. And I think it was important for him to be given that security, if you like, and a better financial deal. And it's great that he's put pen to paper, and hopefully that'll remove these stupid stories that X, Y and Z are chasing him, and give Everton a little bit of protection as well if he continues to do as well as he has. And if any clubs do come calling, it'll take a lot of money to get him out of Everton. So it's a good kind of footing to be on.
But it also, from the point of view probably of what fans will be looking at, fans have probably looked at this contract and thought to themselves, if he signed a contract, hopefully he's been given assurances about money, transfers, everything that Everton fans seem to worry about. So from that point of view, hopefully we can take half from that.
Yeah, definitely. I don't think he would have been in a rush to commit if the club had said there's no money and there's no prospects of money and things like that. I think he's a very clever man. He's a very astute man. He knows what he wants. He's very clear on what he wants. And so therefore him signing this contract should be a kind of a reassuring thing for the supporters. I know there's a lot of questions in the air. There's a lot of people saying, nothing's going on and what's happening, are the board going to back the manager and everything else. It is very early days, but I think by Roberto signing that contract, it should put a lot of people at ease, really, as to where the club wants to go and where he wants to take the club.
And one of the first things that's come from him signing a contract is Coleman signing a 5-year contract as well. One of the things he said about it was important to him was the fact that Roberto Martinez had signed a 5-year contract, and he loves working underneath him. He loves being at Everton Football Club and knowing that the manager, had showed that kind of
faith.
But he's happy at the club. He showed that he wants to be around. So therefore the players are going to go with him and do that. And he signed a contract. It was fantastic last season. We've heard rumours of Arsenal sniffing around him, and we heard rumours last year of Manchester United being after him when David Moyes was in charge. But really, really good to see that he's put pen to paper and probably got a contract that deserves to be on.
Definitely, and it's again Everton rewarding good performance, isn't it? That's something Roberto Martinez has been a pains to say last season. When the players were doing well, the younger players or the players who weren't sayers on bigger contracts as others, if you perform well for Everton, you'll get rewarded. And I don't think there was many who performed better than Coleman. He players player of the year and the club's player of the year, and he's improved absolutely unbelievably, I would say. I think he's done well under David Moyes. and I think he's gone up another level under Roberto Martinez. Obviously, we were a bit concerned early season, weren't we, with his wing-back play, or his attacking play didn't seem to be getting as far forward as we would have liked. But as the season's gone on, he's brought that back up. He got, I think it was 7 goals last season. And when players like that commit and put pen to paper, it does reassure us as supporters that Everton are going places, you know, and players like that who he would have been in demand, let's be honest, when they say, no, I want to stay here because we're building something special and I want to be part of it, that's great. And that's what we need, you know. And we're going to get stories just by Everton's nature, without having a big billionaire there to bankroll us. We're always going to be kind of seen as easy pickings, I would suggest, by the media, who are going to look at our players and say, well, they've got Coleman who's good, and they've got Barkley and McCarthy and these other players who are good, but other clubs have got more money, so Everton will just sell. This kind of says to them, look, you want our players, you've got to come in big for them, and we don't want to lose any of our young players. And again, it's another kind of a statement, if you like, following on from Martinez's contract. The fact that Seamus has committed for 5 years, it's excellent.
Because obviously Leighton Baines as well put pen to paper, and that stopped all them rumours. And I suppose that's the thing now, isn't it? You mentioned it. We've seen Southampton get decimated in the last few weeks by the manager leaving and players leaving. And I suppose that used to be Everton. If you had a good season, you could expect the knock on the door for your best players. But now it looks like the players are going with Martinez and saying, actually, no, this is the place we want to be. Because there's not that many places you can go now. That's the way football is. You know, how big can your squad be? You know, and I think players have seen other players leave the club and seen that they haven't done so well. They've gone into clubs where there's a lot of superstars, and they suddenly find themselves as a squad player. And then, you know, because of the politics surrounding clubs, they don't get, you know, they just don't get a place because the name isn't as big as other names. So I'm hoping personally, you know, in the next few weeks we're going to hear maybe Ross Barkley, James McCarthy, John Stones, all signing new contracts, and you know, whether people want to say, well, there's not been any signings, but that for me is it's as big. Okay, we want to see the squad get bigger, but it would be massive to get all the players under new contract long term.
Definitely, and we're not sat here saying that it's not important for Everton to go out and sign players, because it is. Me and you've loved nothing better than 8 or 9 new players to come in. It'd give us something to have a programme every weekend.
It's going on to like the old FIFA and finding the players and putting them into the new squad and changing the boots and all that.
Everything else, it's great. That's what we want, though, don't we? We want the new players. We all love new signings, but you know, it is important to get the players we've got. We've got a good side now, and we want the players like Seamus Coleman to commit. You know, we're led to believe Ross Barkley's not far away now. James McCarthy's very close to signing a new deal. John Stones is a little bit more complicated due to an aging dispute, if you like, but we expect him to sign again come September, October. These are just as important for Everton Football Club, because this is a core of young players, and it's important to get them tied down. What do people want? Well, people like us to say, well, yeah, we bring in these 5 players in, but we can't agree deals with Coleman and Barkley, so we're going to move them on. But we'll bring in 8 new players instead. It goes hand in hand, and you know, had a little bit of a discussion on Twitter yesterday that ran into this morning as well, in terms of what people actually want. Is it because other teams are splashing money, our neighbours love spending money, they do it every single year? And sometimes when I say to people, it is early, we just need to kind of calm down a little bit, they take that as me kind of saying we don't want any signs. I'm like anyone else, I want 8 or 9.
Let's be honest, we're going to talk about transfers and we're going to move on to transfers. Not much is getting done anywhere. Now, okay, Manchester United have gone in there and got Luke Shaw. That deal was agreed a while ago. That was agreed before.
Just say that price to yourself, though,
well,
for Luke Shaw.
It's 30 million, and I'm not going to even go into it, because I think it's a lot of money, let's put it that way, but it's their money, it's not our money, so it's not worth worrying about. Liverpool have bought Lallana. Now, again, that's a player that pretty much was nailed on before the World Cup.
We've known about that since April, haven't we?
Okay, they've gone and got Lambert as well, another sort of feel-good factor transfer that they went. Now, they've thrown a couple of more names out this week, and I think that's agitated a lot of Blues out there going, well, look at them spending all that money, like you just said. But that's a PR stunt. That's a PR stunt to say to everybody, don't look at that fella from Uruguay, look at what's going on here with our new players. It's very, very clever PR. It's good PR. They mightn't even be interested, or it mightn't be halfway down the road as they are with these players, but they're putting it out there. Now, Everton don't work like that. Everton work quietly in their own way. Martinez works even quieter. I mean, you know, at this time of year, there used to be rumours galore. But somehow we've fell into this trap, our fans now, where no rumours mean no players. Where actually no rumours mean that Martinez is keeping his own counsel and he's doing things very, very quietly and he's doing things to suit him. And you can only trust the manager, can't you?
I think the information I've had from a few different people I've spoken to who obviously know what's going on kind of thing, is that he's operating very tightly, a very tight ship this summer. He's got who he wants. He's obviously over in Brazil. He's looking at different players, but he knows who he wants, and it sometimes it would be quite easy to say this player, that player. I've heard a few names mentioned, but doesn't mean anything. Yeah. And people can throw all kinds of names out, and I suppose if you throw 50 names out, 3 are going to be right, and then he can come out with the banner saying, I told you first. Doesn't necessarily mean anything. Last year, we'd done nothing, had we? And all of a sudden, we had Kone, Alcaraz, we had Delafeu, we had Robels. We had them in 2 days, I think it was, 4 players just from nowhere. So, obviously, things are going on. He's not sat in the World Cup, and Everton have done no interest in players because things are going on. You know, being reassured things are going on. He's come out and said, we'll do it quietly. Doesn't mean it's not going on. And like we say, we'd love Everton to come out and say, we're close to signing him, we're close to signing him, we want him as well. They've moved away a little bit from that, I think. I don't know whether they feel they need to do it, but I just think he's got everything as if it's like, I know what I want, and this is how it's going to be.
Listen, I understand the frustration. We were all, when we were all a little bit younger, we were all very much like this. I mean, when I was younger, there's a thing.
I'm still like this. I want players all the time.
I want players, but I'm not sitting there every day. I mean, when I was a kid, I used to be on like the old teletext, watching the transfer
I saw you
rumours.
putting something out about club call.
I used to have been club call, and it cost my parents a lot of money, but that's a different story.
I think the thing, what we've got to remember is he knows what he wants. It is only June, and we have to trust him. And Liverpool, let me just ask you this: do you think they're doing their business, spending the money almost the same way that Spurs did last year, because they kind of feel as though he may move on?
That's a naughty question. It's a naughty question.
I want you to answer it.
I can't answer it.
What's your opinion?
I don't know. Listen, I don't know. It's not. That's not you. That's
so
not,
you got no opinion.
That's not an opinion, though, is it? That's
it is, because I'm asking you. I'm saying to you, it's my opinion.
Do I think he'll go? Yes.
Okay.
But that's not. But I still think Liverpool will be throwing money around.
But they've always done it. It's because you brought it up. Someone did say to me yesterday, but they're spending all kinds of money. They've always spent money. They spend it every single window. Nothing's really moved with Everton. Nothing's changed. Yes, we've got an excess of money because we've had the most TV money we've ever had. Our wage bill is also quite high, but I still fully expect Everton to spend money this summer. And if they don't, then questions will be asked, and rightly so. They need to be asked, but it's still only June.
Let's get on to sort of not what we do know, but what we're speculating we know.
Okay.
Gareth Barry. There's been a lot of talk about Gareth Barry. Where is he going? It's gone a little bit quiet. But over the weekend, the rumours started coming out that he would sign a contract with Everton this week. 3 years. Now, tomorrow's the 1st of July. I say tomorrow. This video's probably not even out. This video will probably come out on the Tuesday.
It's like Back to the Future.
I know, it's weird, isn't it? Flux capacitor and all that. 1st of July, that's when the transfer, people suddenly become free agents. So there's a good chance that he could sign for someone this week. Now, I'll ask you this question. You just asked me a question I couldn't answer, but do you think Gareth Barry will sign for Everton this week, being the 1st week of July?
He put me on the spot for
There you go. You put me on the spot.
All right, from what I've been told, yes, I expect him to sign for Everton sometime this week. I know there's an issue over, with some people have an issue over the way a deal's structured. People are quite kind of, and rightly so, quite confused as to why we have to pay a fee for him. But when we took him last year, we didn't pay what we should have paid, and what any other team would have had to pay last year had they taken him on loan. The way the deal was structured, I think I fully understand where people are coming from in terms of his wages and obviously a fee given his age and everything. But I would just counter that argument with, here we have a player who's fitted into Everton and Roberto Martinez's style. Absolutely fantastic last season. Ran Seamus Coleman close for Player of the Year. Knows the game like the back of his hand. Can just come and sit in that Everton midfield again and pick up as if where he left off. Fantastic trainer. vastly experienced, massively important for the development of the likes of James McCarthy, Ryan Ledson, and anybody else in that. So for me, whether it's 1 year, 2 years, or 3 years, I don't really have an issue with. I think the way the deal is structured, the payments are made every year. It's not, we want to sign him for 3 years, so therefore we're giving you $2.5 million. If he stays 3 years, yeah, Manchester City may take up to that. People are saying we've got to buy him for $2.5 million now. That's not right. It isn't. That is incorrect. But for me, I don't think he'll see 2 years out at Everton. I think if we get him on a 3-year deal, I don't think he will remain here for 3 years. I can see him moving to America next 18 months, maybe 2 years. But I would say it's a no-brainer for me to get him, Pep, because if we don't sign Gareth Barry, we then have to go and buy another central midfield player. Now, yeah, we might buy a 24-year-old central midfield player from Europe who comes in and looks fantastic, you know, when you look at YouTube and everything else. May not suit Everton. May have to pay $6 million for him. Doesn't suit them, 50 grand a week. And he's a bit hit and miss. And then we're all kind of like, we're missing Gareth Barry here, whereas we know what we're getting with Gareth Barry.
Too many people get hung up for me on his age. But at the end of the day, you'd be getting, you know, the person you know. He'll have had all kinds of fitness tests while he's at the club. He will know exactly the state of, you know, everything about him inside and out. So they'll know, they probably can even project where, you know, where he's going to go. You know what I mean? Fitness wise, you know, in the next couple of years, you know, barring he gets any kind of major injury. So from that point of view, I'm quite satisfied. Hopefully they'll bring him in the next few days, and that can sort of be the start of bringing people in, but also the end of panic stations out there.
I think the other thing, what is vitally important, is that we're also getting Darren Gibson back this summer as well. So Gareth Barry may be able to be pulled out a few times this season. You know, hopefully Gibson will come back and be.
But there's going to be more games as well, of course.
More Europa League, you know, League Cup games. Obviously, Ryan Ledson coming in it. I know that he's after another couple of centre midfield players to complement that. So it maybe isn't as big an issue as what people are making out.
Another player who's been linked with Everton, well, who's already been at Everton, is another one of our famous loan players. Not as famous as the ones we've already got, but obviously Lucina Traore. He's been spotted on Merseyside, whether he was here just to go and see the Beatles show, you know, the hotel or whatever. Who knows? But he's been seen. Roberto Martinez told us that he wanted to keep him for another year. So, you know, you see that happening as well.
I think Everton are very keen to see that happening. I think there's an issue with his club, with his parent club Monaco, in terms of a payment. I think Everton thought they had a deal last week, thought they've had a deal a couple of times with Monaco in terms of a reduced payment, because we don't feel as though, and let's be honest, we didn't get any value out of Lucina Traore last year. He played 69 minutes, I think, in an Everton shirt, and Everton obviously had to pay a chunk of money to Monaco, so we're looking for a vastly reduced loan agreement for the next 12 months. I think it comes down to what Monaco want to do, really, doesn't it? I think the player's very keen to remain here for 12 months. He turned up in Liverpool the other day, not quite Peter Odom-Wingy style, you know, he was bouncing around in his black juicy couture tracksuit in Live Street and everything. But Everton do have a visa for him till today. Actually, it runs out today, his visa. So obviously we'd have to reapply for that. I can see it happening, but again, it just comes down to Monaco, I suppose.
But on loan, it would make sense, wouldn't it?
I would like. A lot of people are critical. People have made a very quick judgment on Traore and gone, he's rubbish.
I've heard that a few times. I think he played
69 minutes and has scored a goal. So arguably he's got Everton's best strike rate.
And he hasn't played for 4 months, and now we can get a pre-season under him. And if it's a year, I think it's a no-brainer.
I think, look, we're getting Coleman back, who obviously we've not seen much of. We know that he wants a main centre forward, you know, and that's what he's going after. So someone like Traore, if you could have maybe Coleman, Traore, obviously Kevin Morales can play up there, but Stephen Naismith and another name.
Well, that other name, I suppose a lot of Evertonians want to see is Lukaku. Simple as that. He hasn't really shone in the World Cup, which is great from our point of view, I think. But where do you see that going? Because obviously there's a lot of factors, and there's a lot of factors that Everton don't control. Now we've seen, you know, as we mentioned before, that Luke Shaw, you know, how much he went for, Adam Lallana, how much he's gone for. I mean, you're talking about a 21-year-old kid who has had 2 fantastic seasons in the Premier League. Do you think realistically Everton could go out and buy him, because Chelsea don't seem to want to send him out on loan again? They seem to want hard cash for him. He's been rumoured in, could go to Atletico Madrid, part of the Costa deal. But do you think that's realistically a player Everton could bring in permanently?
Yeah, I think so. I think Everton, I know that Martinez went down to Chelsea and spoke to them the week following the season finishing, and came back quite encouraged, I think. I think if he's 23, 24 million, obviously a down payment anywhere between 10 and 15 million, I think Everton can afford that. Know that they can afford that. I think the other side of that is, you're right in terms of what factors are controlling it. It's not in Everton's hands as such. People are getting kind of very worried or very agitated because there's nothing going on with it. We did say that there wouldn't be any difficult in the World Cup year. He's away with his national side. They're into the next round. The last thing he really wants to do probably is start negotiating with Everton or the like. His agent knows that Everton are very keen on him. There's probably a handful of clubs who are interested in him. So it's going to come down to him at the end.
What he has said as well is, he has said that Roberto Martinez has got the best out of him and has moved on more than any other manager. And what we've seen in the World Cup so far is that, he hasn't been at his best. They haven't played to his strengths, and maybe for his development, maybe he'll come back thinking, I should have done better, could have done better. Who will make me that striker? Who will take me to that next level? And maybe that is the one sort of shred of comfort that Blues can take from this.
Definitely. And when players go on record and say things like, he got the best out of me, that's important, and that he will be mindful of that in terms of his career. I think he's a very driven young man. I think he knows exactly where he wants to go, where he wants to be playing, and I think Everton wouldn't be too bad an option for him at the moment. I think he could sign for Everton for 5 years. I think he'd be lucky to probably get 2 out of him, in terms of, if he does well enough, other clubs will be sniffing around him. But he makes financial sense, I suppose, to Everton in terms of his age and sell-on value. But he'd be coming into an Everton side playing in Europe next season, so that can help his development a little bit more. And he'll have ambitions of cracking that top 4 if he comes to Everton, and rightly so. We weren't too far away this season. Any other season we'd have probably got it with 72 points, so that's a good starting point. Yes, other teams have strengthened, but you only play them twice. You've got a lot of other teams, and there's 38 games there, and he'll be looking and thinking, this fella knows exactly how I like to play. He's developed me, scored a lot of goals in this side. This is a team that is near the top end of the table. Why not sign for him? It just depends who else comes in for him, who his options are. I think out the Premier League, I don't see anyone who finished above Everton coming in for him. So it'd be maybe Spurs. I think he'd choose Everton over anybody else. I think in the Premier League, it's if he fancies a move to, say, Atletico Madrid or Juventus or someone like that, it's whether or not he's finished with the Premier League. I think Everton have got as good a chance as anybody of securing him, but it's not going to be for another few weeks.
Is anyone else, there's not that many rumours going around, but is anyone else has caught your eye, in this World Cup, or any of the rumours we've seen so far? Is there anyone out there you think, I'd love to see him in a blue shirt?
I think in terms of a centre forward as an alternative to Lukaku, I know that he likes Wilfred Boney, and I think we've spoke about that as well. He, for me, would fit the way Everton play. I think in some respects he probably fits it better than Lukaku in terms of the way he keeps the ball and protects the ball. It allows your wide players to join in a little bit more than maybe what Rom does. Obviously he hasn't got the running power of Lukaku, but he's very good and very clever, and I know that Martinez really likes him. I'd have liked Bhattacharya, but he's gone to Marseille, went to Marseille last week. Other than that, Finn Bogerson, the kid, I hear him being, but he's been linked with the move to Spain. Other than that, in terms of strikers, unless you're going to give me the likes of Lionel Messi, it's a tough one in terms of who we'd go after. I know midfield players who we've been linked with. Perisic of Croatia looked very, very good, certainly against Brazil. And Besic, is it? The kid, he's another one who I know has been linked with. Centre midfield player who can get up and down. So I know that Martinez likes him. You've mentioned that Cuadrado a few times. Pedredo, is it the Colombian kid? He's mentioned them. Probably saying his name's wrong, but you know what I mean. But he's mentioned him quite a few times. So it'd be lovely to think we'd be after someone of that ilk. But hopefully, you know, we'll get more as this progresses and Martinez comes home. We'll get him better insight.
So about the World Cup, I mean, obviously we've had a few ups and downs in this World Cup. More downs. I think you look at the England players, certainly. I mean, Leighton Baines and Phil Jagielka, they've been hung out to dry for me by the media in this country. But I still don't think that both of them put in performances like they do for Everton. Certainly not Leighton Baines. Now, I don't mean necessarily from a footballing point of view, because I think, you know, they've been, certainly Baines not having that cover in front of him, not having that centre midfielder to drop in and be the protection for him. I just think sometimes Leighton Baines' attitude was that of a inexperienced young player who was going to his first World Cup as a 21-year-old, where really he's an experienced football player. Which, okay, he hasn't got a lot of caps. This was his first tournament as a player starting. He didn't embody that to me. I didn't see enough of him shouting at people, saying to people what he wanted to do, and just forcing his own game and sort of saying, you know what, if I'm not allowed to do it, I'm still going to just do it a little bit because I know what I'm good at, and that saddened me a little bit.
Yeah, it's a tough one, isn't it? Because, like you say, even though he's 29, he's very, very inexperienced at tournament football, you know, and that's more to do with other managers, really, not giving him, not plugging him, you know. When you look at it, he was the right choice, I think, to be the England's left back. I don't think there's anyone better. I know there was a lot of calls for Ashley Cole and John Terry and all of that. Those wonderful championship winning, you know, World Cup winners that we haven't got. Would have made much difference. But I think you're right with Baines. I think he wasn't given any protection. I think the thing with Hodgson is he took players there based on, you know, form for the clubs and played in a totally different way.
Didn't actually look at how those players played. Didn't actually know that Gerrard and Henderson played in a three in midfield. Didn't actually look that Baines played with someone in front of him or a centre midfield to drop in. Didn't see that, you know, Terry and Jagielka play with a holding midfield in front of him who will sit there. You know, just completely ignored all those things and just said, you know what, we're going to have 4 forwards and everyone else will defend.
And
so
that's great if you're gung-ho, but he wasn't. He was negative within an attacking formation, because we've also got a centre forward who's our record goal scorer, the highest goal scorer we've got in the squad, and he gets stuck out on a wing, not wanting to run backwards and help Baines out, and that's not his fault, because he wants to go the other way.
And also took a kid out in Lallana. I say kid, I only say that on purpose because
I was going to say, but irony
took Lallana out there, played him in every game up to the World Cup on the left-hand side, and then at the last minute bowed down to the pressure of the media by putting Sterling in there, which fair enough, you want to put Sterling in there, but you don't take a player out who's been in there and losing the whole bar. I think we're going a bit overboard.
No, I think, getting back to your original point on Baines, I don't think he pulled up any trees. I certainly don't think he was as bad as the media have painted him as he. Just a couple of goals, the Italy goal, he didn't stop the cross, but he had no one covering. Cahill, for me, Gary Cahill is kind of came out of this unscathed.
Well, his get-out card is always from the media. He'd be great next to John Terry because he plays with them every week. It's the get-out card, isn't it? Whereas they look at Jagielka and say, well, he's the one at fault, even though he's playing on the left and doesn't play on the left.
Let me just ask you this. When you were playing football, if you were playing, and I know sometimes you play centre-half, if your partner is going for a header and I'm the striker, stood next to you and I start running, do you just go, oh, he'll sort it out? No, you run with me. Gary Cahill just went, he'll sort it. Oh dear, he's gone because Jagielka. And the media focused on Jagielka not taking Steven Gerrard out, and that for me really wound me up. But you know what, as an Evertonian, I don't want any of our players near England.
The irony is that Jagielka had, I think, was in the FIFA best 11 out of the group stages. You know, we seen the clearance off the line against Italy. It's just one of them things. Barkley did okay as well. I think he did okay. I think
out the three.
I think what he got was he got experience in a major tournament, and he'll come back now and know that he has to get up to the next level by the next major tournament, and hopefully that's in a blue shirt.
I don't see why it wouldn't be, and I think he's come out of it with the most praise out of the three. I think he'll take that on board. He didn't look out of place. Okay, maybe didn't stamp his authority on it enough, but it was as if they couldn't see him half the time to give him the ball. But he'll kick on now because he's gone to a World Cup. He's got on ahead of some more senior players, if you like, and hasn't looked out of place. So that bodes well for Everton.
You'd see him now as the future, and also, again, ironically, because of Jagielka's performance, you'd probably see John Stones as the future for England.
Well, he's a player who was very unlucky really to miss out on that squad, wasn't he? You'd like to think the likes of Stones will be in there. Be great, just on an England thing, is if the, like we've discussed before, just said to the over 28s, if you like, you all come out now and we're just going to go with this.
I mean,
but
it did that to get rid of Jagielka and Baines. For an Everton point of view, wouldn't really be a problem. Then if they replaced them with Stones and then Barkley started being regular, for their development, it actually wouldn't be a terrible thing for Everton. I know there's loads of people out there screaming, they're going to get sold. It doesn't always. Yeah,
but if it did mean that, if they were going to get sold, they'd get sold for big bucks, wouldn't they? So it's about the protection thing, isn't it?
Yeah, the other couple of players that have been in the tournament, obviously Kevin Morelos, we haven't seen that much of him. Came off the bench in Belgium's second game, I thought. Did well, opened up a lot of space for Hazard, and
hit the post.
He hit the post. He got a game in the third game, did quite well as well. So he's looked all right. And then the other one, Tim Howard, I think has probably been the most impressive.
Did you deliberately skate over Lukaku there?
He's not an Everton player, is he? He isn't an Everton player.
So can we slate him because he's been rubbish?
He has been rubbish.
Thankfully for us.
Good man.
Well in, Ron.
Tim Howard's probably been the most impressive man, an Everton man so far. Not only impressive on the pitch, but he sort of embodies
the beard.
But he embodies United States, doesn't he? Because of the beard. He's sort of like the key figure. Everyone's looking at him, and he's like almost like a captain figure. And he's got that whole sort of thing going for him.
And let's not forget, he done such a typical Tim Howard moment against Portugal, didn't he? Having sat down on the floor for the first goal, which is just bizarre, the way he just lay on the floor, and then when it's his chest and it's the post, it then comes out and he makes one of the best,
maybe the save the tournament,
but that's what he's like. He's roller coaster, isn't he? But he looked very good against Germany as well. I think he's great, isn't he? Because he just carries that all forward. He, like you say,
puffs out his chest, doesn't he? Really does. And that's something that you could say he does for Everton. I mean, people can criticise him if they want, say he's a fantastic goalkeeper, but he'll always give you everything, and he puffs out his chest.
We are critical of him sometimes because we believe that he can be even better than what he has. He's definitely one of the top 5 or 6 keepers around, no question, but we want him to be that little bit better.
We want him to be the best.
Yeah, and there's not, you know what, look at the clean sheets he has and everything like that. There's no reason why he couldn't be up there stats-wise.
That's everything that's sort of going on the pitch or going on around the pitch. New kit's out. Well, it's certainly been shown anyway. We were very lucky last week to go to an event organised by the guys at Umbro.
Nice to get an invite from
Umbro. It was nice to get an invite, wasn't it? Contrary to popular belief. We went down there. The Umbro guys looked after us really well. They took our phones off us because they obviously know what I'm like.
I'm not like that.
We got taken into the home dressing room. Got shown a video. Shown the video that everyone's seen, the emotional video of all the ex-players, staff, painters and decorators.
Current players.
Anything. Fantastic video. Then we were shown the kit up close. Got to see all the intricacies of it. Got to see the socks. Got to feel. Got to pull. Well, we didn't get to rip, but we got to see a little bit of the training gear as well, and got to speak to the guys at Umbro and pick their brains about what had been, why they'd done it, what was the reason behind it, everything. And safe to say, not only is it a fantastic kit, but the next kits and the away kits are in safe hands with these guys who really get what it's like to be an Evertonian, the tradition, the forward thinking of Roberto Martinez, but also the fact that we're number one when it comes to them. We are number one when it comes to Umbro. That's what they said. So they said everything will be bespoke, and when they do something, everything will be centred around Everton, and then everything comes after Everton, which is just brilliant news.
Definitely. I mean, the things I took from it was
really... that T-shirt for a start. He took that T-shirt.
I didn't take it; it was given. No, the other one. The thing that I took from it was that they were at pains really to say that Everton were going to be the top of the pile. I think when you think of Everton and Umbro, it does go hand in hand together. Yeah. It's great that we had a little go with Nike and the novelty soon wore off with the limitations, shall we say, of that deal. And I think they really took the time, I think, with this kit. Yeah. I think they've got it spot on. I absolutely love it. I think the dark socks just complement it. We know that the mannequins in Everton too now, so people will have had the feel of it, and you'll know how good it is up close, and the pinstripes and everything. I was just really, really impressed with it. And listening to them talk about how committed they were to make Everton, you know, unique, if you like, you know, to coin a Roberto Martinez phrase. And I think what I really like about it is when you look at that kit now, you'll just recognise it's Everton, and people will look and go, that's Everton, just from the way they wear. And the passion, and I also got to request the Umbro on the arms, you know, I'm hoping that them diamonds are shown at some stage. I've been wanting that for, you know, for many years again, to bring it back. But I was really impressed with it. It was fantastic, and like you say, this is a company that, you know, think very highly of Everton. Yeah, so it's really nice to work with a company that's got Everton at the top of the pile and wants to do stuff for us rather than just, you know, being another club that they can use the same template for. So I'm quite impressed with them. Yeah,
as you know, they made that quite clear. We're the #1 team. They're going to make kits for us. It's not going to be hand-me-downs. It's not going to be out of a catalogue. It's going to be designed for us for a reason. Everything on it is going to be made for a reason. Whether it be navy socks, air vents on the back with the tower. It's all about tradition, and it's about the future. Because as they said, to us, it's the cutting-edge stuff. It's cutting-edge technology. And, you know, it cuts down on all the hassle we had last year, because we know there's going to be women's kits, there's going to be kits in every size, there's going to be baby kits, and it stops all that drama of only being able to get it in certain sizes, because at the end of the day, people want to wear the kit, they want to be seen in the kit, and, you know, whether what anyone says about it just being a football kit, you know, it's important to people, and it's a revenue spinner for the club, and hopefully as well, the club will be able to be purchased far more locations now around the world as well, which has helped using Umbro's network. So I'm really happy about that. Really happy, and really happy with the kit itself. I think it looks fantastic, and roll on the 17th when it gets released.
Definitely, totally agree.
So good stuff. Very quickly, we've got some pre-season fixtures just announced as well. Porto for Leon Osman's testimonial. We've got Tranmere away, and obviously Leicester in Thailand, which will be an interesting one. Tranmere one, I'm happy with that one, simply because it's a traditional pre-season game that got stopped a few years ago. It was getting a little bit nasty. Might be able to put that down to a certain ex-Liverpool player who managed them, but it's good it's come back. It's nice to have those links between the two clubs, and it'll hopefully be a revenue spinner for Tranmere.
Yeah, definitely, and you're right, it did get a little bit nasty, went through a couple of them, and it moved a little bit away from just being a pre-season friendly, really, but it's good, like, you know, we've got a little bit of a partnership with Tranmere in terms of our young players, you know. Young Matthew Pennington had a good time there last year, and obviously Matty Kennedy played there as well, and James Wallace, who went from Everton to Tranmere and has now moved on to Sheffield United this summer, so good for Tranmere, good for Everton, and hopefully it'll be a good game, and a lot of our supporters, get yourselves over there and give Tranmere a few quid and enjoy, hopefully, a romp in the sun for Everton.
Yeah, well, we didn't think we had much to talk about, but we ended up talking loads. That's just normally us when it comes to Everton, isn't it? We'll be back, hopefully, very, very soon. We're going to keep these videos going as often as we can. When there's something to talk about, we're going to be talking about it. Simple as that on Toffee TV. Don't forget, follow us on Twitter at Toffee TV1 if you're not already doing so. Tell your friends about it. Get on YouTube as well. Subscribe, Toffee TV1. We want as many people to subscribe as possible. You're watching the videos, but subscribe as well.
Definitely subscribe.
Yeah, definitely subscribe.
Tell your mates.
Tell your mates as well, because that's, you know, how we're going to get sold to a big company, obviously.
In Thailand.
If anyone would like to purchase these t-shirts, they are available on Toffee Art, designed by a good friend of ours, Thomas. Fantastic t-shirt for your summer holidays. Go and get one. All the legends in a brown leather casey. What more do you want? This has been Toffee TV. We'll see you soon.